Good morning. Make sure I got this thing right. So Leonard spent some time talking about the go-to-market strategy by using the portal, which is great. Chris and I are going to approach it a little differently, where we're more of the hands-on guys with the plans. We're going to break it into two sections. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the issues and some of the maybe problems or why CDPartners failed, and then Chris is going to talk a little bit more about the success plan and some of the stuff we're doing. So a little bit of why we're here. One of the main reasons is always, and the same thing we did back in 2000 when we started working with Cisco, is how do you leverage the machine? It's the same problem we all have. That's why we're here. Cisco's $40+ billion, great company, but how do you leverage that and get put into their fabric, where when they think of opportunities, Denny talked about our products not being that excited. That's fine. But anytime somebody was in a healthcare application, and we got Amanda over sitting there, they thought about our enclosures because they knew they solved problems. So you want to get into the machine where they think about you. Then we're going to talk about the imperatives to build a successful plan, as well as just some of the key elements to the successful plan. So have to have a quote, otherwise it wouldn't be a Cisco presentation. So it takes as much time to wish as it does to plan. One of the things that Chris and I can tell you a lot is a lot of things not to do with Cisco. We spent a lot of years wishing that it would be better and hoping it would be better. So those first several years that we were working with Cisco was kind of frustrating. But we were able to start putting together some planning strategies, which hopefully from some of the mistakes we made, y'all can help you guys be better at it. So a little bit about our background, just to add some color. One thing most important is we both are Aggies, which is now moving to the SEC. Gig 'em, you got it. Hopefully we do better in the SEC and the Big 12, but we'll see how that works out. A little bit about our background. We really come from the wireless side. Chris and I got engaged in the 90s, really before Wi-Fi was Wi-Fi. Everybody knows this famous term Wi-Fi, but one of our friends who's actually going to be at the show with us today was one of the three guys that came up with the term Wi-Fi. And that's really how we got integrated into Cisco. Was we were working with a company called Aeronet, which is Cisco's, basically their foundation of their wireless technology back in the 90s. When Cisco bought Aeronet for an unbelievable amount of money at the time, we quickly, at the end of the 90s and early 2000s, got thrown into the Cisco world, initially starting to do training with the GigaWave division. And that GigaWave training division, still around today, is very successful, trained 30,000+ people on Cisco's wireless technology. What happened, though, was while we were in the training classes, we quickly had people coming up saying, okay, I love the training on the wireless, but where do I get this non-sexy product, as Denny would say, enclosure, or maybe this antenna or this cable? So we quickly, in 2000, right after we started GigaWave, formed TerraWave. And TerraWave's sole lot in life was to build solutions that made Cisco's wireless technology more complete. And really, that was how we built the model. And it became very successful because every time we went to an opportunity and there was a gap, we filled the gaps. So really, TerraWave's job was to fill gaps, and has been doing that now for a little over 12 years. So Chris and I again started it with another guy that I thought was going to be here, Charles, but he's not here right now. Back in 2006, we actually got acquired by a company called Tesco and stayed on there about 5 years, and we left about a year ago to take the summer off with our families and then to restart again with Exceltex, and that's why we're here today. So we're actually excited about the program. We've been around Cisco again for 12 years. There's no question right now is the most excitement and the most resources we've seen being put around the ecosystem of partners, whether your CDN's a term we're using today, but it's people that are providing complementary solutions, which is really cool. Cisco, not that they've always cared about you guys, it's just neat seeing them put a lot of resources around the different partners. A couple questions that I have, and this is just for me to get a little bit of my foundation. How many people here work with Cisco for less than 1 year? No, nobody? Less? How about less than 5 years? Anybody more than 5 years?
Yeah, a lot.
Anybody more than 10 years?
Wow.
15? 20? Okay.
No.
Get them down. That's good, though, 15. How many people feel like they've maximized everything they can out of the Cisco partnership? Everybody? No, not one hand? My goodness. That's part of what we want to talk about is, again, trying to leverage the machine. So some of the challenges, and these things aren't going to be earth-shattering to y'all, but I wanted to go over some of the challenges. I saw this picture. I love it because that's how I felt forever, beating my head against the wall. One of the biggest challenges we find is mind share. We always get the question, how do I get more mind share? That's a tough one. You got to know the right people. You've got to put yourself in front of them with the right message. But getting mind share is sometimes hard. And sometimes it depends on the audience. Getting mind share from maybe a product sales specialist may be easier than an account manager that has a $50 million quota, or bigger sometimes. So mind share is obviously a big one. Navigating Cisco, we've been around Cisco 12 years and we still find it tough. People that work at Cisco find it tough sometimes navigating Cisco because they're so big. And Leonard talked about Cisco making changes. Just when you think you kind of have it figured out, they'll change something. So navigating Cisco is always a struggle. Good contacts. One of the things Chris will talk about, this is critical, one of the things that we think we can help is getting better contacts. One of the things we always struggled with was we had good contacts in pockets, but we didn't have a good overall contact matrix. So having good contacts, again, one of the biggest challenges is trying to, in the different segments or the areas you're going after. Clear value propositions. One thing you'll learn about Cisco, and a lot of you guys have been around here a long time, you can't really have the same value prop for the same audience. So if you're talking to the business using an example, it's going to be a different value prop than if you're talking to a PSS or an account manager or a reseller. So having clear value props has been a challenge for a lot of the CDN partners. Understanding Cisco, back to the navigating. Forget the navigating, just understanding Cisco's core structure and how they function. That's a big challenge. Exposure, visibility. Again, back to leveraging the machine. This is another tough one. How do you get exposure to a company that's so big, that has so many of their own products to sell? How do you get your exposure in there and get into the machine? No clear measurement of success. One of the exciting things about this whole new program is Cisco's starting to get a better handle of how do you measure the success of a CDN partner. Specifically, guys, like when we were at Tearaway, we didn't sell any of the Cisco hardware. Cisco's very good at measuring their resellers that buy millions of dollars of product. But how do you gauge a company that comes in and provides a complementary solution that drives hundreds of millions of dollars of business, which is what we do. There's no question in my mind.
Or influence.
All you guys do. What?
Or influence.
Or influence.
Yeah.
Influence, drive, you name it. How do you measure that? So part of it is getting a good, clear measurement of success has been a challenge. Leveraging the machine I talked about. Lack of Cisco resources. When I say that, it's people that are focused on helping you grow your business. That's something that's changing right now, which is exciting. And not a clear go-to-market plan for success. Go back to the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, a wish is not a plan. Not having a clear plan, a documented plan, not just a plan in your head, but documented that we're going to do these action items. These are who we're going to talk to. Here's the value props. And here's who's going to do it is very critical. So why do CDN partners fail? This is, again, we can tell you a lot of things not to do. One of them is sign as assume. I mean, how many people, when they sign their CDN contract or whatever agreement you have, was excited as heck and said business is going to start flowing? You don't have to raise your hand because that's how we were. We were like, we got the contract. We were so excited. We went out, literally, we went out at a party, drank a few beers, I think. And we were excited. Then a month down the road, nothing. 2 months down the road, we're like, where's the POs? After about a year, we're like, wait a minute, we got this Cisco contract. We even put their logo on our website. I even put it on our shirts, the Cisco logo. Still didn't. Signing and assuming business is just going to come is not going to happen. You have to still drive it. Having the Cisco machine help you drive it is great, but just signing and assuming it's going to be business, that's not realistic. We thought it was, but it wasn't. Force their business model on Cisco. And Chris will talk some about their channel and how Cisco, anybody's been on Cisco long enough knows that they run a lot of their business, most of their business through channel partners. That is their model. If you're not wanting to work with the channel community and be involved with those partners working with your product, you're not going to probably scale the way you want to with Cisco. Cisco is a channel-focused company. Knowing that and trying to say, well, I'm going to take everything direct as a CDN partner and not work with the channel, you're probably not going to scale the way you want to do. So trying to force your business model when it's not Cisco's, at least on your Cisco part of your business, it's important to make sure you're driving with what they're doing. Don't understand Cisco's organization. This is a big one, and keeping up on top of it. Insufficient context. I talked about it as a challenge. It's also why they fail. Again, a lot of people have pockets of contacts. I've got great contacts here and here, but there's a whole gap that they're missing, and that's why they're not being successful. Not committed to the channel. That's part of understanding Cisco's business model. One thing we learned quickly, if we were going to scale with Cisco, we better embrace the channel community. Whether it's mom and pop channel partners or the big ones, we had to embrace them. We had to come up with programs that would enable them, things that would make it easier for them to sell our product. We had to make sure they made money. We had to make sure we protected them with pricing. If we did we sold some stuff direct, which was fine. We made sure the pricing differential was always great enough that the partner could always participate and still make great margin. So we've got to make sure we're committed to the channel. Not sure where to start. That's one thing Leonard talked about. Where do you start? It's confusing. Cisco's huge. And not a complete go-to-market plan, again, which is what Chris will talk about a little bit. So that's a little kind of a foundation. I'm going to, not a program to execute the plan, and one more bullet. Execution, obviously most important. Elad's going to talk a little bit about the execution. Chris will as well. But execution, I don't care if we have the greatest plan in the world. If you don't execute it, then who cares? So having the proper execution and accountability metrics. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Chris.
Thanks for listening to us this morning. This part of the presentation I'm going to go into, we're going to talk really in detail about, how do you put this plan together? What should be in the plan? What do I need to know to build a plan, and how do I get started? And we thought it'd be appropriate to start with where we thought, the keys to success with Cisco are. There's really, in our minds, 4 main buckets of keys to being successful with Cisco. The first is having good complementary products for Cisco. I mean, everyone here is a CDN partner. You have some technology that complements Cisco. And it's not only just having that technology, but expanding it. How do you find more opportunities to grow your portfolio of products and capabilities that complement Cisco even further? And then once you have those complementary products and you're continuing to expand on that portfolio, how do I create messaging that's relevant for the different audiences? It's either within Cisco, it could be in the reseller community, it could be other ecosystem partners that I could partner with, but having the right messaging that creates relevance and it resonates with those different audiences. Like most CDN partners, probably their primary contact is in the business unit that's most relevant for their technology. And that's great to have those relationships, and you need to help expand your complementary products so that you're involved, so they know the products you have, the capabilities you have, but you also know where are they headed with their product set, and having that knowledge allows me to further enhance my products and or know, when there's opportunities to come out with new products to, again, complement Cisco. The other thing that's very important is, having a clear channel strategy. Are you aligned with Cisco's go-to-market strategies and their channel programs? Do you have your own channel program that's clearly defined? Carter talked a little bit about everything from pricing models to, it could be deal registration types of activities that you can provide the reseller partners that engage with your solution. Are you aligned with some of the sales programs that Cisco has? You've probably heard a bunch of times OIP and SIP, which are probably the most 2 relevant programs for CDN partners. And then, having the right relationships. And it's not, to what Carter talked about, pockets. You've got to have relationships across Cisco's organization, the business units, the product specialists, the sales teams, the resellers, and not only across Cisco, but in your own organization. One of the things that we found critical was that we had to have everybody at our company engage with Cisco. So the executives in your company need to be engaged at Cisco with the right people. Maybe it's the executives at the BU, maybe it's executives in the sales and channels organization. Your sales teams have got to be plugged in with the product sales specialists, as well as, the resellers and their sales teams. And it takes a lot of work, but it has to be across your company to really get the leverage and success that everyone's looking for. So before I build and try to build a plan, what are the things I need to understand about Cisco? Well, first I've got to understand how they're organized. And it's not just the business unit. Cisco's got a lot of different organizations and groups. There are product specialists, there's sales organizations, there's channel account people, there's vertical teams, there's architecture teams, obviously people in the BU, there's overlay teams that specialize in certain product areas. So you've got to understand that, because if you don't understand all those areas, then you're going to have a hole in your plan. You're going to have, could be a critical group of people that you need to understand what they do and how they operate and what motivates them, and I've got to incorporate that into any plan I build. Whether it's whether you use the tools that Leonard and them have built, or you worked with consultants like Carter and I or Elad, but it's a very critical first step in understanding how do I build this plan. It's important to understand Cisco's channel. Cisco goes to market through resellers. 80+% of their sales go through it, and I need to understand, who are the channel partners for Cisco. There's huge ones that deploy almost all the technologies. There's small boutique ones that just focus on certain technologies. I need to map those resellers out and try to figure out how to work with those resellers. And then also, if I want to work with a big reseller, let's say it's a CDW, I mean, how do I work with a partner that big and carrying that many products? Maybe that's not a good fit for me. Maybe a better fit for me is a smaller boutique reseller that is a smaller organization that will give me more mind share in trying to work with them. So understanding, all these partners is very critical as well too. Whether it's Cisco or the partners, you got to understand what motivates them. The people in the BU's motivation is selling their technology. The partner or channel account manager for Cisco is he's going to have a very crazy large quota, and he's there to help support his partners. So his motivations aren't so much about what maybe the BU's motivation is for a specific technology. He's trying to sell everything and support that partner. And then the resellers' motivations are totally different as well. I mean, they're looking at ways of differentiating themselves in the market. How can they enhance their profitability? How can I create new solutions that I can go back to my existing customers and capture more of their IT budget and be a better partner with them? Understanding Cisco's go-to-market strategy, and that's really more about 80+% of all their business goes through the channel. And it's critical from our perspective that you've got to get, for CDPartners to really get traction, they've got to leverage the channel. They've got to embrace the channel, all this extra deep discount, and provide a better solution to my customer. Those things are great value props as to why these reseller partners would want to engage with you and with your solution. It's also important to be able to clearly articulate. You've got a great complementary solution, but you've got to be able to clearly articulate to all the different audiences in Cisco as to why your solution complements Cisco. How does it benefit? At the end of the day, for Cisco folks, it's how does it benefit Cisco? How does your solution help them create a solution? Your product and Cisco create a solution that helps drive incremental sales for Cisco. We talked a little bit earlier about it, but a critical component of putting a plan together, in my opinion, is doing a SWOT analysis. And I'll talk a little more detail about it in the next slide, but really a SWOT analysis relative to your company and Cisco. Not your overall company, but your company and your relationship to Cisco. And again, clearly defined goals. If you don't have defined goals, then you can't build the plan to measure how successful you are in the plan and the goals that you do have. So having clearly defined goals, and those goals could be, I want to sell X more, revenue. It could be X more dollars of product. It could be, I want to enhance my relationships at the BU better. I want to, get aligned with their product sales specialists. I want to, recruit, 10 or 15 or 20 new reseller partners. But all those things are very important to have as you, go to build a plan. So what are the elements of a successful go-to-market plan? Here are the 5 key areas that we think are important. SWOT analysis. Everyone's heard of SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. The most powerful thing for me in a couple of the programs that we've done, or a couple of the plans that we've done with a few partners, is really identifying more than anything else your weaknesses. Is it a weakness for you in terms of the number of relationships you have at Cisco? Is it a weakness for you the number of resellers that you work with today and the reach and the scalability they give you? Is it a weakness today that your whole company has clear value propositions? So it doesn't matter whenever one of your salespeople or your executives talk to somebody at Cisco, they know what motivates these particular people at Cisco, and they know the value props that's going to get their attention. Another one could be, is it a weakness for you that you don't understand how Cisco's structured as a company? Because the powerful thing for the SWOT analysis, in my opinion, is the key thing is taking those weaknesses, mapping that to an action plan and a communication plan that now takes those weaknesses and turns them into strengths, so that your whole organization does know how Cisco's structured, that your whole organization knows clear value props when I'm talking to different audiences, whether it's resellers or Cisco themselves, et cetera. So SWOT analysis is very important, in my opinion, to help you build the right actions and activities. Obviously, we talk about value props, and taking those value props, integrating them into an action plan that says, I'm going to do these actions, I'm going to create, I'm going to assign these tasks to specific people, and I'm going to create accountabilities in this plan. And I'm going to create, the accountabilities need to go across your whole organization. I mean, a couple of plans we've done, you've got executives that are being mapped to the general managers of specific business units. They're being mapped to senior executives in the channels program and even the CDN program. You've got your sales organization being mapped to, it could be product sales specialists, it could be specific resellers and their sales teams, but having a clearly defined group of people that you map to different individuals in your organization, and you create those accountabilities. It says you're going to contact these particular people once a month. You're going to contact these other people once a quarter, and then have a way to track that and create that accountability. So all those things are very important if you're going to build a plan, whether it's with a consultant or if you're doing it, through some of the tools that Leonard and his team have created. Now, a couple of the plans that we have done from a consulting perspective, the approach that we've taken is what we call a three-phase approach, where we spend a lot of time educating the CDN partner, obviously on Cisco, their sales and channel programs, how they're structured, how they're organized, the reseller community, tools that you can use to find some of these particular people, et cetera. Then we end up doing a lot of discovery to understand your business. How do you go to market today? What does your sales organization look like? What do your products look like? What are your value props today? And take all that information and then collectively come back and make a recommendation on, here are what we think the right organizations you ought to be talking to. Here are the people in those organizations. Here are the value props associated with those people, so that you can take that information to your team and educate your teams on the right value props and the right people that they should be talking to, and develop a plan with defined goals that you can execute on. And I think some of the value of working with some of the consultants, whether it's Alad or Carter or myself, is we can fast track your understanding of Cisco. I haven't really looked at the tools in terms of being able to educate yourself on Cisco's structure and organization, but that's one of the benefits of some of the consultants, is that we can really help fast track that. One of the things that Cisco's done, which is great, is they've made us Red Badge employees. So we have access to Cisco email addresses. We have access to things like the directory and other resources that obviously you as a partner doesn't have access to. So it's easy for us to help try to find specific people in certain groups. When we were a CDN partner, we would always have to call our buddy at this group within Cisco or over here saying, hey, do you know who so-and-so is, or who do they report into, or who's on this team? So that's a huge benefit and a great tool that Cisco's given us to be able to help partners in terms of finding the right people, the right contacts, how they're organized and structured. And then really more than anything else, create accountability. As you go to build a plan, one of the things we found out in a couple of the pilot plans we did is the partners kept us accountable. We kept the partner accountable to drive a plan and get it done quickly, so that you can execute on that plan and build a good plan quickly, get the information soon, and build a plan that you can execute on. So I think those are some of the benefits that some of the consultants like Alad and Carter and I can bring to the table. And then obviously there's other services that we could provide as well too, in terms of implementing the plan. Because the critical piece of it all is not only having a good plan, but you've got to execute the plan to have success.